G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you're having a fantastic day. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user VizSal, titled, I overheard my 26 male, fiancé 24 female, tell her friend on the phone that she settled for being with me and that marrying me was her last resort. Basically the title. I overheard my wife talking to one of her best friends on the phone while I was passing the bedroom. This friend is in a serious relationship. My wife then said to her, "Sweetie, remember, it's your choice. Don't settle for just anyone. That's the mistake I made. Who knows who else I could have had? OP was my very last resort, and now look where it made me end up." Hearing that honestly broke my heart in two. Does she even love me? Why am I being treated as second base? Am I being dramatic and overreacting? I haven't said anything about it since. I honestly don't know what to do, but hearing her say that has really made me upset. In the comments, Che Hawk says, "Damn, that's effing stone cold. Someone who loved and respected you wouldn't say that, man. I would tell her that you hurt her and are done, but that's me. I couldn't continue being with someone who was only with me because they wanted stability and didn't care about me. And they're only in their early and mid-20s. If that's really how she feels now, I can't imagine what the relationship looks like 20 years from now. I could understand a desperate 35-year-old in 1919 settling, but a 24-year-old in 2019? Effing brutal. I'm so sorry to hear that. You should really talk to her about it. You should never be somebody's last resort. If that's how she really feels, maybe that relationship isn't working. She's only going to backtrack and start minimizing it, I expect. To hold this view means that you don't respect the other person, never mind love them. You're a placeholder of regret. Some words can't be unsaid. How can she now prove to him that those words were not true, as if they are, they killed the relationship there and then? Talking feels necromancy on this one, whatever that means. Not only that, but if the right guy hits on her, or she gets a midlife crisis, he's going to be dropped like a hot potato. This seems like a good reason to reconsider the relationship now that her true feelings are known, in order to save future heartbreak. Oh, she is definitely married and looking with that attitude. You should probably confront her about it, but be civil. It will always bother you if you just leave it. Also, keep your own happiness in mind. Will staying with her make you happy in the long run, even if you know she isn't? I think there is a lot more to it than that. OP will be constantly afraid that his wife will leave him at the first realistic chance she gets, and that is a legitimate concern. What she's basically saying is, I would leave him if I thought that were possible. Here's the problem. She's only 24. She obviously is going to realize it is in fact possible to leave him for someone else at some point. 24 is really young. Anyway, my point is that the countdown is already on. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time until OP's wife leaves him. So OP has a very serious choice to make. Do you 1. Stay with a woman you know will leave you at some point, just because you want that life experience being with her while you still can, which, if you believe she's in a higher league than you, might be wise, or 2. Leave her first because you know the truth and seize control of your life immediately. I think it's a tough choice, and I can't make it for you. It really depends on how much you think staying with her as long as possible will help you to become a better, cooler, sexier person. Update. Thanks everyone for the kind words. Really has made me feel a lot better. Going to be talking to her soon. Also, I noticed a lot of people thinking this post is fake. I understand how it could be seen that way, but it isn't. I've been engaged to her for over a year and a half, and just 3 months ago we got married. Not really used to calling her my wife yet. Also, I used an alt account since she uses Reddit. Anyways, thanks for the advice everyone. It amazes me how much people on the internet can care so much about a person they don't even know. I'm going to talk to her today. I will be updating you all soon after. Update 2. I just did one of the hardest things that I ever had to do. Today after breakfast, I told her that we should sit down and talk. She was hesitant, but I said that it was important. We went to the living room and she said to me, I already know what this is about. My post apparently made it to the front page, so of course she saw it after scrolling down a bit under popular. Of course, the waterwork started happening right away. I told her what she said had deeply hurt me, but obviously she already knew that since she read my post. Through her tears, she said, "I was just joking. I wasn't serious." She then went on saying stuff like, "I love you. I love you." I told her I can't be in a marriage where my significant other doesn't love me the same way that I love them. She tried to tell me that she loved me and that I meant something to her, but it was all bullshit. She said she didn't want to lose me. I told her I don't think this marriage was the right decision, and from there I basically told her that it was over. I told her I knew how she really felt about me and that it was effed up. She basically played with my emotions. For all those wondering, we have no kids, and I pay fully for the apartment we live in, and I own almost everything we have other than her clothes. I even pay for her car. So after all of this, she'll have little to nothing left. Before our marriage, we agreed to sign a prenup, and at that moment, I've never been so happy with the decision I've made in my life. After that, it was a few seconds of awkward silence before she said to me, "F you." She started screaming at me, telling me, "You can't just end things like that." I told her I could do whatever I wanted, and that's when she became very hostile. She screamed at me saying, "You are the effing worst relationship I've ever been in. You think I can't find someone again? Do you think you'll ever find someone as good as me? You're an effing idiot, OP." She grabbed her bag and phone and said, "I'm leaving," before slamming the door behind her. At that moment, I felt like I was on one of those dramatic sitcoms you find on TV. I sat down on the couch and cried, and I'm still crying as I type this up. It's both happy and sad tears. I knew it was only time before she cheated on me or left me. She never loved me, it was obvious. Our relationship only went one way, and I felt like a complete idiot for not seeing it earlier. I live in California, and I'm going to start the process to annul our marriage. Tomorrow, I'm going to start throwing all of her belongings into trash bags, because that's essentially where they belong. I'm not throwing her stuff out, just using the trash bags as a way to give her back the things that she owns. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for all your kind words and for your great advice. All of you gave me the courage to stand up for myself, and I know my life will certainly improve as a result. In the comments, Lichinamo says, either she's an idiot or wanted him to end it, though I haven't ruled out both being true at once. Why on earth would she say something like that anywhere where her husband can easily overhear her? She may be an overconfident idiot. That'd be my bet, since she seemed to honestly believe that crying and saying she was just joking would actually work. She settled for OP at 22? Like she had a goal to marry before 25? What year is she living in? 1819 instead of 2019? I don't know about OP's ex, but that's a shockingly common small-town mentality, and it's also pretty common among people with very little ambition, which may go hand in hand with the small-town thing, but doesn't rule out small people from big places. Might depend on the country. I'm from a small town and people usually don't rush into getting married. People usually get married between 25 and 35 there, I'd say. I only had one friend in school who wanted to get married by 25, and her reason was rather superficial. Skin starts aging from 25 onwards, and she wanted to be at the peak of her beauty for her wedding. If she could get someone better, then why didn't she? Also, it's weird that OP got married when he knew that she didn't like him that much. Or does he mean now it's only a matter of time before she cheats after he heard the convo? He said he realized that it was a one-sided love. I would bet that she went through the motions of being in a relationship, and after reflecting back, OP realized he put in more care into the relationship than she did. He probably had rose-tinted glasses on until he overheard her. Been there, done that. Took my best guy friends sitting me down and calmly explaining that they love me and they're worried about me to snap out of it. Sometimes you can't see the forest through all the trees. Our next post is by user Nightmare and Counting, titled, "My boss put a fist through the wall." This is a throwaway account for reasons that will become obvious as you read this post. I'm a new attorney. I've been practicing for 6 months and have been with the same firm for that time. The pay is great and higher than most other jobs available to someone with my experience. My boss prides herself on being a mentor to new attorneys. However, my boss has something of a reputation in my community. In the last year, she has lost 4 attorneys who all quit and walked off. This is a small firm, so losing 4 was a huge blow. Of the attorneys who quit, my boss has harassed all of them. She sued the first one for her shoes, and she filed ethics complaints against her, and she's getting ready to sue her again. The second one to quit, my boss sued to claw back her bonus pay. The third one to quit was a doozy. The third one quit and took her client files with her. My boss lodged multiple ethics complaints against her, filed criminal complaints against her, and sued her. The third one to quit had to go into deep hiding at her new firm, because my boss and her husband called and harassed her constantly. Despite the drama with the former employees, I haven't felt much of it until recently. My boss hasn't been a great boss, but she has made an effort to mentor me. She answers my questions and occasionally looks over my work. There are issues though. She doesn't believe in hiring paralegals or trained legal professionals, so we just have generic staff. Of our staff, we've gone through 8 since I started, including one who was fired after being drunk on the job. As a result, our work is often not done on time or it's sloppy. My boss also has a philosophy of never firing a bad client. This has become a big issue in the firm. We most recently had a client with a long history of fraud. My boss had me draft a motion and an affidavit, which the other side pointed out was entirely fraudulent the day before the motion hearing. We had to withdraw the motion and apologize to the court. The client then stiffed us on our bill. My boss still won't let us fire him, and now I have to work on his case for free. Despite all of this, I have stuck with it until now. The wall punching incident. My boss and her husband brought a criminal detective into the office to talk about one of the former attorneys. I could hear them across the wall. They were screaming and swearing at the detective about how the former employee is an effing spy. I then heard a loud thump and saw my boss's husband shake his bruised fist. The dude put his fist through a wall. It was frightening to watch. That same night, a rival firm reached out to me unsolicited. They have several of the former attorneys from my firm, and they have offered me a job as well. Same pay, actual paralegal, mentoring, and no one puts their fist through drywall. I feel guilty about leaving my firm and being disloyal, but I think I need to go for my own safety. This crap is wild. In the comments, ModeVita07 says, "You're incredibly fortunate that the former hostages, now survivors, have talked their new firm into throwing you a lifeline. Take it and run, don't walk, as fast as you can. This deranged attorney will surely wind up in the state bar's disciplinary role sooner than later, hopefully." I Know My Name 30 says, "Well, aside from the number of red flags here, in general, your boss sounds like an absolutely terrible business person. You're not learning anything valuable in that end other than what not to do. Just leave. You don't owe her anything. Superior and subordinate is a transactional relationship, not a friendship. And frankly, no matter what firm you're at, you should never view it beyond that. I'm not saying you have to love or even like your colleagues, but everyone at a firm is self-interested, including the partners, no matter what story they pitch. As far as ethics complaints and lawsuits go, she probably has a number of flags by her name with the ethics committee." Update. I'm here with an update. The update is, I start my new job next week. Sadly, I'm not going with the rival firm that tried to poach me. Shortly after the rival firm reached out to me, my boss sued one of the attorneys at that firm. My boss instructed every person at the firm to attend the hearings for the former attorney and stare at them. I was conveniently on vacation when the first hearing happened, but my boss crowed about her efforts against the former attorney to the entire firm. After the former attorney got sued, the rival firm entirely ghosted me and wouldn't return my email. My boss also told me that she was suing the entire rival firm, so that could be a part of why they ghosted. However, I did immediately begin applying for new jobs. I had 3 offers fairly quickly, and 2 of the firms even got into a bidding match over me. The legal community in the area that I practice has been remarkably kind to me. They all have told me that I'm smart to escape the toxic firm, and they're offered to help me however I can. I ended up taking a job with a firm in my practice area, and the job comes with a nice raise. I didn't end up walking out of my job at toxic firm. Given what happened to the last attorneys, I wanted to try avoid getting sued and harassed. I gave proper notice, notified my clients, and I was gracious to my employer. The effort was a bit in vain. No one at toxic firms spoke to me after I put my notice in, and my boss went from weeping about my loss to screaming at me about it. She also blew up my phone with text messages after I left until I blocked her. All in all though, quitting toxic firm did not go as bad as I thought, and I am so glad to start fresh. Thank you to everyone who commented and liked my original post. I read every comment and took it to heart. I am actively working to be better at advocating for myself, and I'm looking into therapy under my new and improved health insurance. I'm excited to have a fresh start. Oh, and to boot, almost all of my clients are leaving toxic firm and coming with me. I call that success. In the comments, Leslie Nope says, "Oh my god, how insane. I'm so glad that you got out of there. And cheers to the bar for rallying around you and your colleagues and actively trying to get you out. You need to file a bar complaint ASAP. This is absolutely unacceptable. Also, in your OG post, I noticed you kept saying your husband, but not partner. Is he an attorney, or just a mobster and bodyguard to punch employees into submission?" OP replies, "Thank you. One of the attorneys I spoke to also helped me get set up with an ethics attorney in my field. I'm working with him to figure out the next steps, especially if my former boss does something crazy. As for my OG post, toxic former boss is married to the business manager, who is not an attorney. He also isn't allowed in the office very often because he scares the employees." I don't think this is over. All signs point to OP being sued and/or having ethics violations filed against them, especially if almost all their clients are leaving with them. At some point, the bar is going to realize that one attorney has filed an insane amount of ethics violations and realize she's abusing the system vexatiously. Ethics complaints are not very common, so for one person to be making them on a near constant basis has probably already raised red flags, and she's most definitely eventually going to be disbarred for her behavior. Especially since most of them are almost certainly frivolous. Surely word gets around. Why would anyone ever want to work for these nut bars? People who are new to the area and job who have just graduated law school and desperately want a first job to get their foot in the door. There's somebody applying to my workplace for similar reasons. They have like 5 years of experience, but recently moved here from another state. They ended up at an employer that is known to be abusive if you work in the industry around here, but obviously this person had no way of knowing. They're now applying for night shift positions at my workplace. They are the only positions open where I work, even though they currently work days. It must be bad to take that kind of stress over the stress you already have. To be fair, my employer is known for being pretty chill. It's not the highest paying, but compared to other places I've heard, that work-life balance is much better. Management is more understanding. I'd take night shift over what I've heard about the other place too. Shot Machine 1024 says, "The philosophy of not firing clients seems more like a business preservation tactic than philosophical one. I can't imagine many decent clients would stick with a law firm like this. Also, it seems the firm gets called out on their BS really quick." Our next post is by user Who's This Faking Guy, titled, "Am I the asshole because I told my sister's boyfriend he isn't a member of our family? My 21 male, sister 17 female, has this boyfriend who is always around. He acts like he lives here. They've been dating for 2 years, so he's gotten really comfortable with our family and our house. My little brother, 14, is sick right now, and it's been really stressful. When I'm not at school, I'm either at the hospital with my 14-year-old brother or at home watching my 8-year-old brother. It's been a lot. This morning I was in the kitchen making food to bring to my parents at the hospital when who should walk in? My sister's boyfriend. He asked me if I wanted help cooking, and I said no. He doesn't even know how to cook. He then proceeded to just stand there in the kitchen, getting in my way. I asked what he was doing, and he said that he was waiting for me to be done. I asked why, and he said that he was going to make something. I told him that maybe he should go to his house and use his kitchen then. He said he wasn't trying to bother me. I said he is bothering me, and I'm sick of him always being there, invading our space. I can't even relax in my own home, the rare moments that I get to myself, because he's always there. He said I wasn't being fair, and that he's scared for my brother too, and I shouldn't take it out on him. I told him to shut up, that he had no idea what he's talking about, and to go home. Then he said that it's important to stick together when there's a tragedy. I said, yeah, families stick together, but he isn't a member of our family, so let us have a day or two a week to ourselves and leave us alone once in a while. and then he left. My sister was pissed when she came down 20 minutes later. She said I'm a mean, bitter douchebag. She said I had no right to say that to her boyfriend, and he's her guest, so he can come over whenever he wants. I didn't want to fight with her, so I just said fine. Was I really being a douchebag though? Why is this guy always here? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I told my sister's boyfriend that he's not a member of our family, and I basically kicked him out. I might be the asshole because he's my sister's guest, and that's no way to treat a guest. I think I'm going to have to go with not the asshole for this one, just because I feel like you know more about this situation than us, and you can't give us every single detail about this. Like, yes, that's no way to treat a guest, but he doesn't sound like he's a guest, nor does he sound like a family member. He sounds more like a pest to me. I agree with you, I'd be pissed off if he's coming over every single day, all the time, and not giving your family and your house some breathing room. Also, by the way that you worded the post, he didn't come over with any ingredients of his own to make something. He was just going to use your family's food and eat in the kitchen too, while also being in your way, being in your presence, pissing you off. That just to me shows a blatant lack of respect for you and your family, that he continues to leech off of you guys like that. At the end of the day, I'm on your side with this one, and I think you're not the asshole. In the comments, Upbeat Reaction says, "You're the asshole. He was just chatting casually with you. I understand that you're stressed, but he is also your sister's support person, and it's nice to see him trying to be there for you too. You kinda overreacted, but I guess it is understandable, but you're the asshole nevertheless." He was also standing in the middle of the kitchen, getting in the way of the person cooking. OP told him he didn't want help, probably in a tone of voice that made it clear he didn't want company either, and he chose to be in the way and to not take hints. He was making the OP's work harder for him. None of which makes him an asshole. An adult being passive-aggressive toward a teenager, however, is. He used his words and told the kid to go home. That is not passive-aggressive. Passive-aggressive would be asking him to check a noise outside, then bolting the doors closed. And standing in the middle of a workspace when someone else is working is an asshole move. Just standing in someone's way is rude. Yes, he used his words after he already got mad at the kid for having the audacity to exist near him. By your own comment, probably in a tone of voice that implied he wanted to be alone, expecting people to pick up on hints and then being mad when they don't is pretty passive-aggressive to me. Marzi Rose says, "Not the asshole, just because every day is totally excessive. If he was there often, I would understand, but absolutely every day shows that he's absolutely oblivious of your boundaries. I can't imagine coming home from the hospital after visiting your sick brother and never having the space to cry or just let it all out. Every day is just too much." Agreed. I remember when my boyfriend was around the same age. He had a less than ideal home life and so had taken to basically living at a friend's house. Those friends ended up having the talk with him because their mum had enough on her plate without a spare teenager being permanently underfoot. He was similarly upset, but they were right. 2 or 3 days a week might be fine. Any more than that, you should be paying rent, and you are definitely overstaying your welcome. Boyfriend can go and visit his own parents and eat their food once in a while. Slimy Pickle 1 says, "Not the asshole. It's okay that he's comfortable, but he's crossing the line when he doesn't give you the space that you need around the kitchen and such. Now, one thing to consider, since your sister is 17, I assume he's 17 as well. He's very immature still." Agreed. Walking into the house without knocking and then going into the kitchen to grab food like he lives there is unacceptable. He doesn't live there, and he needs to stop acting like he does. Update. Thank you all for the advice, everyone. I did end up talking to my dad. He came home and spoke to my sister's boyfriend. He told the boyfriend he needs to not come over before 11 in the morning or be here after 7 at night. He also told the boyfriend he can't use our kitchen or let himself into the house. He needs to knock and be let in, and when he's hungry, he needs to go home to get food. My dad also put my brother's games in his room and told the boyfriend not to go into anyone's bedroom that he hasn't been invited into. My sister was pretty upset about all of this, especially the rules saying that he has to leave by 7 p.m. My dad asked her if he's been sleeping over, and she swore up and down he wasn't. I don't think that's true, but it doesn't matter. My sister's boyfriend was pretty embarrassed and apologized to my dad, saying he doesn't realize he was being a nuisance. My dad said that it was fine and gave him a hug. I told him I was sorry that I snapped at him, and we hugged it out too. So I think everyone's good, even though my sister is pissed at me and my dad. My dad said that she will be better off in the long run because if she wants to see her boyfriend outside those hours, she'll have to leave her room. Oh my god, that is such a burn. She'll have to leave her room? Dad really said touch grass to his girlfriend right there. That's crazy. Honestly, I think that those rules are pretty good and pretty solid. It keeps the peace in the household. It probably also establishes that he doesn't come over every day and that she goes to his house every now and then. I like the way that they resolved this issue. They hugged it out and there was no bad blood or screaming or murder. That's always a plus in my books, but what do you guys think about this one? I'd love to know in the comments down below. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.